It looks like Apple is finally ready to take the M1 iPad Pro seriously and finally turn it into a Pro device, according to a bunch of rumors, reports, and some new leaks as well. So in this video, I'm gonna go through all of that and share my thoughts on when and how Apple is gonna make it Pro again. Now, the first thing we're gonna start off with is a brand new Power On newsletter report from Mark Gurman, who is, by the way, one of the most reliable Apple leakers out there. And he says that the iPad's hardware has long been ahead of its software, and a possible solution is a new Pro mode that kicks in when you're connected to a keyboard and trackpad. And that is exactly what Apple has with their Magic Keyboard. And let me tell you, it's expensive, but it is absolutely mind-blowing when you use it. Even with the current software, it just works so well. However, last year with iPadOS 15, a lot of people were so disappointed because they were expecting a lot of new software and features to take advantage of the M1 chip, because all of us thought, hey, they're finally giving it a ton of power with the M1. That means they're giving it a ton of new features, and guess what? They didn't do it. They didn't deliver, and that's why we created this video saying how Apple just ruined the M1 iPad Pro with iPadOS 15. It got a lot of views, and there was a lot of people who were upset, and we even came back and talked about it again, and yet there are so many disappointments with what Apple did. For example, they give it up to 16 gigs of RAM, but apps can't even take advantage of all of that. It's just so disappointing. But finally, according to Mark Gurman, there is a new possible solution that Apple could take, which is that new Pro mode to take advantage of the M1 and, of course, the M2 iPad Pro, which a lot of leakers are expecting at the end of this year, yes, in the fall. And I personally believe we're getting it 100% just based on Apple's timelines, about a year and a half to 2 years in between iPad Pro releases. So I think the M2 is coming, and I think with iPadOS 16, Apple is gonna give it some major feature changes. Now, with that said, Mark Gurman had a Twitter Spaces with Federico Vittisi from Mac Stories, and he has a new option that Apple could take, having 3 different modes based on what your iPad is doing. So for example, if you just have the iPad, it's using the standard touch first mode. Now, when you grab an Apple Pencil and connect it, it starts to optimize the icons, the controls, and the interface to match the Apple Pencil and make it work the best for that. But now, the new third Pro mode kicks in when you grab the Magic Keyboard or an external keyboard that has a keyboard and a trackpad built in, and then it brings it into that Pro mode. And in terms of what it'll actually offer, first of all, you're gonna be able to get Mac-like multitasking, or the ability to run several windows on top of each other and next to each other. So basically, just like you have on a Mac or a PC, you got windows over here, here, here. They're all resizable and all running alongside each other without having to do like a split screen and then a slide over window that's just not that good. We're finally getting real multitasking. Now, on top of that, he thinks we're gonna get a more dynamic dock where we can pin files and have minimized apps into it, where you can kind of hold down and you have a bunch of extra information pop up. So that is much needed. I think it's gonna be a great help. And then finally, a proper desktop, not just the home screen, but an actual desktop like we have on a Mac or a MacBook, where you can drag and drop files and folders, keep them all there. You have dynamic widgets, and he even thinks we're gonna be able to get miniature apps. So let's say you have a little music app, just pops up, floats right there, or potentially a new calculator app, Apple TV remote, sticky notes, so everything can have just a little window, pops up right there, just like you have, for example, calculator app. Look at that, just move it everywhere. I hope we get something like this. And if you're struggling to imagine how this could potentially look like, we actually have on Twitter Parker Ortolani, who made some iPadOS 16 concepts. So check this out. As you can see right here, if you zoom in, you can see some new features. First of all, in the multitasking window, you have different sets of windows or apps with everything minimized. And then on top of that, you have some extra little miniature apps up here. So you're having both of them visible on the screen at the same time, so it's easier to navigate. And then if you look over here on the left, you actually have your downloads folder with the little pop-up window with your downloads, just like we have on the Mac. Up here, we have the little music widget miniature window that popped up. Over here, we have the triple windows right there. As you can see, Parker imagined the app pairings, so having better multitasking, 3 or 4 apps at once, and entirely new app layouts right over here where you can split the screen up in different ways, so have Maps on the right, Safari on the top, and even put Mail on the bottom, so triple multitasking like that, customized to your own liking. And even better, 95Mac actually has an article where they showed some close-ups of these different features. And as you can see right here, you can now pin different music, podcasts, books, shows, files directly to the home screen. As you can see right here, you got the Daring Fireball talk show, all that kind of stuff. And now, this is what I really want, studio mode, where Apple finally fixes the external display issues that we have right now, where you hook it up and you just get this like square-ish display instead of utilizing the whole thing. I think Apple should fix it with iPadOS 16. And this is actually a leak from John Prosser from a couple of years ago, almost to the T, 2020, April 22nd, he said he's 100% confident that Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and Xcode are coming to the iPad Pro. And the reason I am so confident in this happening is because of a leak from Majin Buu on Twitter. He said that Apple is working on a version of Final Cut for the iPad. Now, going even further, Majin Buu also says that according to his sources, there's gonna be a new guest account that should be arriving on the iPad. And going even further, he says that Apple is developing a smart system for iPadOS where apps will continue to open full screen, but then automatically shrink when connected to keyboard and trackpad. And this fully matches up to what Mark Gurman was saying. So it's basically like the apps get minimized and you go into this new Pro mode. And the most interesting part out of all of this is that he said it should be M1 iPad exclusive. So if you're wondering why Apple gave the M1 chip to the iPad Air, well, there is your answer, because the iPad Air also supports the Magic Keyboard. So if you can get a Magic Keyboard and an M1 iPad Air or iPad Pro, you have access to all of these new awesome Pro mode features. And going further, here's yet another iPadOS 16 leak by Majin Buu, where he says there's gonna be stacks of files in the dock apps that is gonna be arriving, and you're gonna possibly be able to activate it with the Apple Pencil. So as you can see, you have your dock and you click on one and it opens up a bunch of different apps, kind of like in a list. And now with that said, I think that if Apple actually gives us this new Pro mode with the new features, I think it's gonna be a very big deal at WWDC in June, because it's not only gonna matter for the future iPads, but even the current ones that people have, like the M1 iPad Pro, that is actually gonna fix the iPad Pro for a lot of people. And we're gonna see a lot of people start buying that again because of the new software optimizations, and it's gonna be a very big deal. But we are expecting the M2 iPad Pro coming this fall, and that's gonna, of course, come with the new chip. But also, there are a lot of leaks and rumors that we should be expecting MagSafe connectivity. So yes, wireless MagSafe. So as you can see right here, I think that the next upcoming version of the Magic Keyboard is gonna support MagSafe charging. Just plop it onto the back right here and it's gonna pass through the Magic Keyboard and charge the iPad Pro. So that's gonna be very, very nice. So I think this is gonna be a huge deal, and I think that iPadOS 16 is gonna be a lot better than a lot of us are expecting. I think it's just gonna blow a lot of people away, and I think it's finally gonna make the iPad Pro a competitive machine in terms of being a laptop replacement. So with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one. Definitely check out one of those two right there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.